I just don't think that's an appropriate question.
Okay, well, that's not for you to decide.
No, but could you stop yelling at me like I'm your child? I'm not your child. You talking aggressive to me. You don't intimidate me. You put so much pressure on my brain. I don't forget everything. I can't remember all this stuff that's been asked to me for the last 4 days.
Do your sentencing acknowledgments square? Do you understand
Now you thinking this stuff funny.
No, sir, I don't.
You do laughing, but I know your question ain't funny.
It is not.
So what you laughing for?
The Young Thug YSL RICO trial has resumed for the week. The defense finished on cross-examination, and then Miss Love does terrible and redirect. Emails come to light that the defense never received, and the state didn't fulfill their obligation to give over everything to the defense. So apparently Mounk Tounk emailed Miss Love something regarding evidence, but the judge doesn't agree here, which is strange. It almost seems like she's covering for the state. So yeah, hit subscribe to the channel membership. Let's go, boys. First look at Thug on day 125. The clean knit sweater on over top the shirt and tie, and Mounk Tounk is taking the stand again. Got some stretching going on.
A.N. lie to their mama, brother, sister, and kids, but get to the courtroom and tell the God's honest truth, 3 question marks, I don't get it, and then hyphen at Young Thug. Do you see that?
Yes.
What it means, if you know, when it says at the end of it, the hyphen at Young Thug.
Means they're quoting Thug, and it was at the end of 2014 when he said that initially, before Donovan Thomas was even killed.
Did they ever ask you?
Objection. Relevance as to what anyone else ever asked this witness, if Mr. Steele wants to ask.
Sustained.
Now, District Attorney Love asked you on your direct examination why you didn't go to the police on the morning of January 11, 2015 when you dropped off Mr. Copeland at the City of Atlanta Police Department homicide. Do you remember that question?
Yes.
All right. And you were aware that the police called Mr. Copeland that night, and then Mr. Copeland went down to see the police, right?
Yes.
Did the police call you and tell you that you were the prime suspect?
No.
Objection to the compound question.
No.
Tell the jury what snitching means.
To me, my definition of snitching is another person lying on another person.
I mean, it's quite literally not what snitching is, but...
You told the jury that Jeffrey idolizes Lil Wayne or Mr. Wayne Carter. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
Did you ever hear, are you familiar with Lil Wayne's work, his music?
Yeah, I'm familiar with his music.
Have you ever heard him use the word slime, the term slime?
Yes.
All right, Brian Steele's done with Cross. Doug Weinstein's up.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Do you recognize the action that he performed?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, he's talking about Tyreek Hill, bro. So yesterday, obviously football started back up, and I think there was about 3 instances where football players did this celebration. Tyreek Hill said something about slatt. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to get copyrighted, but yeah.
I object on the basis of relevance and foundation, and if we need to approach that, Mr. Weinstein can show the court.
Right, well, yeah, I haven't seen. Sustained on the foundation, but you can see if you can lay.
So he needs to lay further foundation to get this in.
Have you seen that video of that player before?
I know the player.
Have you seen him doing this particular thing? Have you seen that clip before that I showed you?
I don't recall seeing the clip, but I just seen it when you just showed it to me.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
I didn't watch Miami game yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be able to come in. He doesn't know anything about it.
And you initialed all those stayed in there, right?
Yes.
And you would have initialed anything to get out of jail on that day, correct?
Yes.
If they would have asked you if you could say that YSL did not kill Tupac.
Speculation.
What's the question?
If they had asked you.
Objection. If they had asked you. Just nothing else beyond that, Your Honor, because it's speculation stage.
He wanted to get a question out that he probably knows is going to be speculative, but...
All right, is there redirect?
Oh, God. Here we go. State's redirect starting now. So Miss Love's going to try to get into the plea deal wasn't pressured or coerced or whatever, and he knew what he was signing. That's all a lie. That's what she's trying to expose right now.
You signed this plea agreement on December 28, 2022. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did Mr. Steele, Mr. Schardt, or any of your other friends' attorneys ask you on cross-examination? Sustained.
She just said your friend's attorneys, and the judge sustained the objection for that. Obviously, the defense was going to object to saying your friend's attorneys.
Did you tell the jury that you loved Mr. Steele? You loved Shannon?
Yes.
Did you tell the jury that you loved Defendant Williams?
Yes.
And Mr. Stillwell and Mr. Schardt and Mr. Williams, they represent people that you love, correct?
Yes.
About conditions you endured before signing the plea agreement that you signed on December 28, 2022.
Yes.
Do you recall being asked if you felt pressure to sign that plea agreement?
Yes, I think so.
Do you recall being asked whether you felt intimidated to sign that plea agreement?
I don't recall that.
I'll ask you, were you intimidated by the state into signing that plea agreement?
Was I intimidated?
Were you intimidated?
I wouldn't say I was intimidated. I was basically like, I just feel like it was forced on me at the time. I wasn't intimidated by it.
It was forced on you about the fact that your mom, unfortunately, had become ill. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you recall telling me not to speak on her?
I didn't want to talk about her.
Do you recall Mr. Steele asking you about her multiple times?
Yes.
Oh, I see the point she's going for.
Any problem with him talking about her?
No, because me and my lawyer just don't even get frustrated about it.
So is your testimony that you didn't mind Mr. Steele talking about it because you had had a conversation with your lawyer about that?
Yes, he just told me to stay focused. And even with you, he just said stay focused and answer the questions.
Who you felt forced you, if anyone in particular, to sign anything on December 28, 2022?
I would say the state, because when I addressed it and tried to change situations, they wouldn't change them. So
Is it still your testimony that there were things that you wanted changed that you did not get changed? Is that still your testimony?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled.
that's something my lawyer said.
You may.
Checking with his lawyer.
You know what I said? Yes, but they changed certain things, but it still was things that I had a problem with. For my awareness, once if you called me to the stand, then I would be able to explain the things that they didn't change.
The April 28, 2015 drive-by shooting. Do you recall when I asked you about that on direct?
Yes,
Do you recall you told me you did that in your best interest?
yes,
Do you remember saying that I did that because it was in my best interest multiple times? Do you remember saying that?
he said that I took the plea in my best interest. I don't recall.
Seems he's starting to say, I don't recall here. A handheld mic. I've been thinking they need that. I've been wanting them to have a handheld mic. I know it looks dumb, but it's just so much better for audio.
2015. And do you remember I asked you whether you pled guilty to that? Do you remember that?
Yes,
Well, I did it in my best interest. And
Yes.
this is not a trick question, I promise you.
yes,
All right. And do you remember you said that more than once? I did that in my best interest.
yeah, I remember that part.
When you say in your best interest, are you familiar with what is known as an alford plea?
No, I don't really know what an alpha plea really mean. I just was saying that I pleaded guilty in my best interest.
And when you say that you pleaded guilty in your best interest, what do you understand that to mean as opposed to just flat out pleading guilty?
Could you repeat it?
I can't.
Cause that was kind of tricky. Anything I plead guilty to, I feel like it's in my best interest to plead guilty to.
And did you recognize the prosecutor at the table with me as the same one I have my left hand on now, Ms. Hilton? So if we see the video, but we see Ms. Hilton's lovely face, you'll recognize Ms. Hilton as having been in the courtroom?
I don't remember seeing it here too.
That's fair enough. Do you remember seeing a judge who looked a little different than the one on the stand now?
Yes,
Do you remember seeing your attorney, Mr. Wright, there sitting with you?
yes.
How did you feel about the lawyer who's represented you for the last 15 years?
He been great.
Overruled.
He been great to me.
And he was in the room with you when you entered the plea on December 28, 2022?
Yes,
She's asking him softball questions that he'll remember, but then she's going to start asking about the plea deal that he was in the courtroom for, and then he's going to say, I don't recall.
Your friend Shannon's lawyer. Whether you...
Overruled. I think she's just trying to get clear who it is.
No, she's trying to really hammer it home that they were friends in front of the jury, and they all used to commit big bad crimes together as a big gang mafia.
the state ever sat down and met with you? Do you remember being asked whether the state ever sat down before the June meeting and before you entered that plea agreement and met with you? Do you remember him asking you that?
yes.
Did the state ever sit down and meet with you?
No,
Did you ever agree to sit down and meet with the state?
I can't agree if the state don't come to me and ask me. No, I ain't never asked him to speak to the state.
Why not?
I don't know. I can't tell you that else. I never asked him to speak with you because that's his job. That ain't my job. That's why I hired him.
Did you tell the police any of those things that you told your friend, Defendant Williams' attorney, and your friend, Defendant Stillwell's attorney, when they asked you questions on cross? Did you tell the police any of that stuff?
I don't think they asked me nothing like that.
You
I
don't
don't recall them asking me nothing like that. You said the police?
Yes, sir.
I don't recall them asking me nothing like that with Mr. Steele. Asked me.
Do you recall Mr. Steele asking you about that drive-by shooting?
Oh, yes.
Do you recall the police asking you about that drive-by shooting?
Yes.
How much information did you give the police about that drive-by shooting?
I told the police it wasn't true.
And when I asked you on direct examination about that drive-by shooting, what did you tell me about that drive-by shooting?
I don't recall. You can refresh my memory.
Do you recall me asking you what you did before that shooting?
I don't recall me, though.
Do you recall me asking you how did that shooting happen?
Objection, relevance, asked and answered.
Overruled.
What led to that shooting?
I don't recall.
Do you recall telling the jury when I asked you on direct that you just went to pick up Mr. Garlington from the club, or that Mr. Garlington had gotten jumped on?
I think I told you I went back and got him from the club. That's what I told you.
And do you recall telling the jury when I asked you a question that you didn't see anybody who jumped on Mr. Garlington?
I told you I didn't know anyone that jumped on Mr. Garlington. The same thing I told them on cross. I didn't know exactly who it was that jumped on.
She's just trying to catch him in lies, contradicting statements where he gave up different information to the police versus the defense lawyers.
And did you tell the jury that you didn't see the faces of anyone that you may have interacted with during that time?
Or really waste of time.
He said 403, waste of time.
Overruled. And I'll give you a little leeway, but go ahead and get to what you actually want to get to.
The drive-by shooting, that you never saw a shooting.
I don't recall.
When I asked you about the drive-by shooting, that you just dropped off Demekion and Quindarius and you went on your merry way.
I don't think I said I went on my merry way.
You didn't
but
use merry, that's my word.
Okay, but I remember
Just
exactly
went
what you said. I ain't saying I went on and directly left the scene, but I didn't actually witness them shooting the gun. That's what I said.
Is it your testimony today that on direct examination, you did not tell the jury that you dropped off Quindarius Zachary and Demekion Garlington and left and don't know what they did after you left?
I don't recall it.
I think he did say that. He's going to start saying I don't recall a lot.
Do you recall me asking you about another house getting shot up?
I don't know in what article. I don't know the address.
Saw or participated in any other house getting shot up other than the house? Do you recall me asking you that?
I don't recall.
So do you not recall as well telling me that you didn't see any house get shot up?
I don't recall me telling you that I seen house get shot up. I don't recall.
Now, what I just heard you say is, I don't recall.
Me telling you that.
You don't recall you telling me what, sir?
I just don't recall me, though. I don't recall.
What is it that you don't recall? I'm sorry, I need the jury to know.
I don't recall.
What don't you recall?
I don't recall. I don't recall. You've been pressuring me so much, it's like, I don't even remember a lot of stuff you said.
He's falling apart, kind of. He's getting a little overwhelmed.
Is it that you don't recall telling the jury you did not see any houses getting shot up on April 28, 2015?
I don't recall.
60% of you aren't subscribed. I'm going to say this every video because what the f***? Hit subscribe, dude.
I'm not saying that I didn't know no shooting was going to happen, but what I'm saying is I didn't, personally witness the house that you said that Quinn Dare, Zachary, and Garnison shot up. I didn't witness that.
Do you recall seeing any houses getting shot up on April 28, 2015?
Overruled. So he just told you about the one house. So are you asking about any others?
Yes,
All
I
right,
am.
so ask it that way.
Yeah, you got to tell me directly what house you talk about, because when he cross-examined me,
That's not what she's asking. She's
Oh, okay.
asking any other houses besides that one.
well, I don't know the people that was shooting at the other house.
Did you see any houses getting shot up? Forget the address. I don't really care what address. Did you see any
And
houses getting shot up on April 28th?
I just don't think that's an appropriate question.
Okay, well, that's not for you to decide. So
Okay,
unless
but
there's an
I'm
objection
saying,
that's
but-
sustained, you go ahead and answer the question.
Yeah,
You did see some houses getting shot up?
not houses. Now you put more than one. It was one house that I probably seen.
Okay.
I was drunk as well. I don't remember which one it was.
He was driving drunk? Is that what you just admitted to?
Did your memory come back while you were being asked the same question by Mr. Steele?
No,
Do you remember telling Mr. Steele a whole bunch of stuff about
I don't think Mr. Steele was the one cross-examining me on that.
Who do you believe was cross-examined?
I think it was Mr. Schardt, not Mr. Steele.
Do you remember telling Mr. Schardt any details about houses that you saw getting shot up on April 28, 2015?
I didn't go there.
Mischaracterization is illegal. They continue to do it.
Your Honor, I object.
Shard's saying something about mischaracterization of what Antonio Sledge said when he was being crossed by Schardt.
To April 28, 2015, from the time you picked up Mr. Garland.
Love, I've been there 4 days, just found how many hours. I can't remember all this stuff, so I don't recall.
She's not asking you now what you remember testifying to. She's just asking you what you remember about that night.
I don't recall.
See, but on cross, he knew some shit. That's like the contradicting part. Like, he's going to say, I don't recall. He's trying not to get caught in lies.
When did your memory about it leave?
I can't answer that question for you, but
Did you remember it when you were asked questions by Mr. Sharp? Mr. Sledge, please answer the question.
I don't recall.
You do not recall whether you remembered April 28th when you were asked questions by Mr. Sharp?
I don't recall.
So last week when I was asking you questions and you told the judge I gave you a headache and made your blood pressure go up, you felt comfortable enough? Did you feel comfortable enough to do that?
Because I'm on the stand trying to explain. When you sit back there, you ain't explaining, but when you sitting on this side, you call me here to tell my truth and my understanding. And that's what I'm giving you. I can't give you nothing else. I'm only giving you my truth.
And so when you were sitting at the table next to your lawyer, did you feel more or less comfortable about giving your truth?
I don't recall.
Do you want to answer the question?
I just answered.
No, I'm asking you, do you want to answer?
I want to answer any question that you got for me, but if I don't remember, I don't remember.
And so what is it that you don't recall about being at the table with your lawyer?
I just don't recall me, though. I ain't trying to give you a hard time, but it looked like you trying to give me a hard time.
It looked like you trying to give me a hard time. Man, Mounk Tounk going through it right now. He just don't like Miss Love, which I understand. I don't like Miss Love either. And I'm sure a majority of you watching don't like her either. Thug always listen to the sidebars, paying attention, not chilling like Shin Stowe. I don't have nothing in his ear right now. Yeah, Gotti's listening in too.
Who is in the courtroom with you today that was not in the courtroom with you on December 28, 2022?
She's going with that now. She's done this route a lot where she's like, you're only changing what you're saying now because the defense are in the courtroom and they're big, bad, and scary. But yet there's no evidence of intimidation or witness tampering whatsoever.
Was your friend Shannon here?
You trying to get to the point.
Mr. Sledge, I'm not trying to get to anything, and I really do need you to just answer the question.
Listen.
So if you could
But
please,
I'm-
Your Honor,
If you could be allowed to answer the question,
answer the question.
Listen to the question and answer the question
And
that's
then you
asked,
may-
and then you may explain it.
I would ask that he be allowed to complete his answer.
And Your Honor, since his answer was not responsive,
His answer was not responsive.
I'd ask that you
Re-ask the question.
Mr. Stillwell here in court with you on December 28, 2022.
No.
Was your friend defendant Williams here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
No.
Was your friend defendant Kendrick here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
No.
Was the lawyer for your friend Mr. Williams here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
No.
Was the lawyer for your friend Mr. Stillwell here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
No.
Was the lawyer for your friend Mr. Kendrick
Objection.
here in court with you on December?
I'm saying, why you
Hold
raising-
on,
Hang on.
She's so extra. I hate her.
Relevance to whether I was in attendance at the time he took his plea.
Your Honor.
Overruled.
Was the lawyer for your friend Mr. Kendrick here in court with you on December 28, 2022? And I will let you explain, but I need you to answer
No.
yes or no.
But could you stop yelling at me like I'm your child or something? I'm not your child.
You are not.
You talking aggressive to me. You don't intimidate me. All them guys over here. So if you would have came to me and asked me that, I'd have told you the same thing. What if they was in my face or not in my face? I'm not scared of them or you.
I don't want you to do.
Well, that's what you acting like. That's what you acting like you're trying to
So
punish.
do you want me to bring my voice down? And I
Because
apologize.
don't holler at me. I ain't no child. Can I take a break? Oh, y'all talk.
Now, we've had so many breaks this
Yeah,
morning. We
but
really
I'm-
need to get through this. All right.
Things are getting heated, boys. He does not like Miss Love right now. I mean, she is. I even said it. She's being extra, raising her voice. She's trying to get her point across, but absolutely insufferable.
Was either Quay that is in the courtroom here today in the courtroom with you on December 28, 2022?
No.
Was Lil Rod in the courtroom with you on December 28, 2022?
Get to the point. No.
That is my point.
Your point is pointless.
Defendant Steele's attorney, Mr. Schardt, asked you about shell kelp and trivia. Do you remember that?
I don't recall.
He's just going to say, I don't recall now for the rest of the day.
Lose recollection of what happened 3 days ago.
I don't recall.
Are all of your answers to every question I ask from now on going to be, I don't recall?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't recall.
And what caused you to lose your memory?
You put so much pressure on my brain, I don't forget everything. I can't remember all this stuff that's been asked to me for the last 4 days. It's confusing. So I'm not, like you said, I completed the 9th grade. I'm not that intelligent to be remembering all this stuff that you keep asking me. My brain just everywhere. I might need to go see somebody out of this court time.
All right, if he's being serious, like, I might need to go see. Is he talking about like a therapist? Sorry, that's not funny. Like, he's going through it, but
Did you lose your memory at any point with Mr. Steele?
He wasn't pressuring me like you. He was helping me. He was explaining to me, breaking down. But it seemed like
Objection.
Mr.
The witness should be allowed to answer the question.
Were you finished with your answer?
no, she cut me off.
Okay.
I said, Mr. Steele was explaining to me he wasn't pressuring me. But every time it seems like I'm getting up with you, I'm giving you my truth, and you still trying to pressure me to say something you want me to say when I'm giving you the truth that I know.
Will you help me break things down a little bit so that I'm not frustrated? Okay?
You already have.
I understand.
I don't even-
Can we rewind?
No,
All right. Was Shell Kell the person you said who had also started a relationship with Antrevia after you?
I don't recall.
What is confrontational about that question?
I just don't recall.
Why don't you recall?
Because you pressuring me, I don't recall.
they're not going to get anywhere. This is pointless. Literally a waste of time.
You're in my brain.
All right. So let's take an early lunch and you can get calmed down in the meantime, hopefully, and then we will come back. Let's see. It's almost 11:15.
Hour and 15-minute lunch for him to calm down.
And I'm going to have to say the word, but I hate to do it, but I'm going to ask. Did you ever hear him call anybody a on stage?
I don't know. He probably said a lot of songs. I ain't gonna say that. He called no one no bitch. I never heard him call nobody on stage.
And did you ever hear him refer to anybody substituting one part of their name for the word bitch?
No.
Says is about Thug at one point on stage called him bitch homie Quan instead of rich homie Quan, I think.
You look still ass nigga. We ain't really going back real nigga. You look dead nigga. Don't be hating. Care. You nigga care. Who else ass nigga? What nigga? What? They said I ain't going back.
Shuddering.
That's
Now,
funny. Man.
it's funny now.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, who other than KO were you talking to when you said, and whoever else?
I just said whoever it is.
Him asking you, was that you in the video?
Yes.
Do you remember telling him, yes, that is you in the video?
Yes, because I had the day to think about it, and then I was like, yeah. When I was still playing in my mind when you showed it to me, and then I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that is me in the video saying.
Did you just not say that he said, get in the courtroom and tell the guys on the street?
Well, I'm in the courtroom telling the guard on the street, so whatever he said, what he said.
So when he's talking about telling the guys on the truth in the courtroom, why do you follow that up with snitching?
I just said something. There wasn't no reason to follow it up.
Do you consider a person who does get in the courtroom and tell guys on the truth on their friends snitching business?
No.
Oh my God, dude.
A meeting that you had with Lieutenant Lance Cole, your lawyer, and me out in Fayette County.
So now she's getting to the part where Steele exposed the fact that Miss Love might have said to him, I'd rather you not say that to the jury, basically instructing him not to say something.
Do you recall Mr. Steele asking you, did Miss Love tell you, do not tell the jury that Defendant Williams encouraged you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station?
I wouldn't say it was saying like that.
Hold on a minute. Do you recall him asking you that?
Yes, yes.
And do you recall telling him, yes, Miss Love told me do not tell the jury that Defendant Williams encouraged me to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station?
You didn't say it at the meeting June 9th. You didn't say it that way. But when I brought it to your attention that Mr. Williams told me to take me and Kenneth Copeland to the police station, your exact words to me, I don't want you to say that, and I will not be asking you that question.
So at what point did I tell you not to tell the jury that Defendant Williams encouraged you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station?
You didn't use the word jury, but that's the way I took it because from my understanding of this process that I would be speaking to the jury to try to prove the facts to the jury, and I just thought I should come in and tell my truth.
Did she say, I don't want you to say that to him? Because that's kind of what that means, right? I don't want you to say that, meaning say that in court to the jury.
As a matter of fact, did your attorney tell you to act as if any question the state asks you, they already know the answer? So don't try to finagle anything. Tell them the truth.
I don't recall him saying that in the meeting.
I hate to use this, I'm not being blasphemous, but did your attorney tell you to pretend like the state is God and they know everything?
No, he didn't say that. I know that. You heard me.
Do you remember Me asking you about the video.
He said you're going too far again. She's definitely being a little extra here, driving this point home, but...
Did Miss Love tell you, do not tell the jury?
If he said jury, I forgot. I made a mistake, and I should have corrected Mr. Steele if he said jury. But I'm telling you what you said to me and to you. I ain't saying you said don't tell it to the jury. But that's the way I took it too, because that's who I'm supposed to be talking to, right? Telling the truth to, right? Okay, so in my way, not the lawful way. That's the way I took it. Because if somebody tell me, oh, I don't want you to tell my girlfriend this, I'm going to take it this. You feel what I'm saying? You don't want me to tell the truth.
Do your sentencing acknowledgments swear with... Do you understand
now you're thinking this stuff funny.
No, sir, I don't.
You do laughing, because I know your question ain't funny.
It is not.
So what you laughing for?
Why did she just laugh in the middle of asking him a question about this? Dude, Miss Love sucks. That's the only way to describe Miss Love.
Past recollection recorded.
I object as well, Your Honor. This is not past recollection recorded, and past recollection recorded does not come into evidence. I have to get you the code section.
You're right, it doesn't. You read it into the record.
That's exactly right.
We already read it into the record, though, and not we, but you. You already read it into the record once.
Your Honor, I'm asking, all right. Mr. Slash, do you understand?
She's not qualified.
Or refuse to testify to any fact that you acknowledged in this plea agreement, that such failure or refusal nullified any promise by the DA to null cross count 30 of the indictment.
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained. And we've already established that he adopted all of those things, so...
She's panicking. She's falling apart. Miss Love is terrible.
So now I'm going to testify my truth and not what you put on paper and your answer. These is not my answers on this paperwork. Yeah, I did sign it, but if you would have came to me personally, like I think you should have did, and asked me this yourself, I would have told you no.
Did you testify that lay low were my words and not yours when I asked you on direct examination about defendant Williams giving YSL members money to lay low after the murder of Donovan Thomas?
When you asked me at that meeting, I told you he could have gave YSL money to lay low because I'm the only one who stayed in alone. I told you he gave me money to get out of harm's way. I borrowed $300.
I didn't say lay low. Those were your
That
words.
is your word. I didn't say lay low. That was already on this paper. I never used the word lay low to you not one time. All this stuff that you trying to say, it was already on the paper. You changed certain things and then we agreed. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even want to say that. I got another paper that's saying you changed number 8. It went from one thing to another thing.
This is literally terrible. The jury's probably like, holy shit.
You don't want to red flag that?
No, I do.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Because you changed the personal knowledge and I ain't changed it. I would have never said yes to that. When I got to the last paperwork, I thought we had an understanding of what the emails my lawyer sent you. Like I told you earlier, I ain't sitting over there. I'm sitting up there supposed to be telling my truth. And it's like you're not accepting my truth. I wasn't sitting over there in County Blues. I'm sitting over there in County Blues. I'm in the free world. So it's like...
genuine question, how is any of this helping the state right now? It just makes her look like a bully.
Were you able to ask him questions?
I probably could have, but I didn't.
And in the back, when you were with the lawyer you've known for 15 years, did you ask him questions?
Yeah, I told him.
Well, if he wants to share it, it's his to share.
I don't want to share it. Okay, I don't want
specific about what you and
I don't want to share it.
And I'm not asking you what. I'm
I don't
asking
want.
did
She
you...
just said I had to share it.
She said you didn't have to share the content. I'm
But
asking
I don't want to share it. I don't recall.
I'm asking you, did you ask
I don't
the lawyer?
recall. I don't recall. Here you go.
Are you saying that not because you're just frustrated?
Here you go again. Here you go again. Here you go again.
Did you wipe your nose at the jury?
What's me?
Just that. Did you wipe your nose at the jury?
Yeah, when you asked me to do it.
I mean, when you got off the stand.
No.
Okay.
No, I wipe my nose at the tree. So yeah, she's going too far.
Until there's an objection, they just ask questions. But all these are capable lawyers, as is your lawyer. So just call the balls and strikes.
You silly. I swear you will.
Just one moment.
You are excused. You're still under subpoena, so there's a possibility that you might get called again at some point. If so, somebody will let you know through Mr. Wright.
Okay,
but you are free to go.
Thank you.
Mounk Tounk is done. Now his lawyer comes up to testify about the meeting. Miss Love really wants to hammer it home that Brian Steele, I guess, lied or something about the way this meeting went down. Does it help the state at all? Probably not, but sure, let's go.
You were asking, and I don't remember, to be honest, exactly what the question was, but it wasn't responsive to the question. That's why it stood out. And when you heard what he was saying about Mr. Williams, there was an immediate reaction where it was, that's not what I'm asking you, is what you said to him. And he said, well, he went on, said what Mr. Williams told him.
And was that the part where he's saying he encouraged me to take it? What part are you talking about?
This is what I've observed discussion in the courtroom about what he said about Mr. Williams telling him to take Woody to see the police. And the point was, as his attorney, as a defense attorney, I took it as that wasn't a subject you wanted to talk about and you weren't asking him about. But I can't say that I ever heard you say, don't tell the jury. It was nothing that definitive, but it was simply, that's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I've asked you to tell me.
Okay, then what are we doing here?
We sort of moved on from it, but it was just clear he very much wanted to say it, and that wasn't what you were looking for in terms of whatever the initial question was. So, but answering the issue at hand, I cannot say that you ever said, don't tell the jury. So I did hear that extra part, but again, it just reinforced the idea that you weren't instructing him to limit his testimony in any way. It was just clear that wasn't a subject you planned on going into. So as a defense attorney, of course, yeah, my bell rang and I said, that's a hot topic, but it wasn't any ethical issue because I didn't hear you in any way try to discourage him or instruct him not to convey that information if asked. When one side has contact with me, I'll reach out and have contact with the other side to make sure both sides are getting information. And I did reach out and contact Mr. Steele, I believe, or it may have been Max, to say, hey, we did sit down, we had a meeting. Quite honestly, there's no big secrets or anything about the meeting. But I will say there was a situation where when one subject came up, it wasn't what she was asking about, but it resonated with me because knowing what the issues of this trial, my brethren in the defense bar would want to make sure they knew, Sledge knew, or was told by Mr. Williams to take Woody to the police. Now, I imagine they already know it, but they may not have known that Sledge had that information. So just as the state was aware of it, I wanted to make sure the defense was aware of it. And I've also made him available so that if they wanted to question him, he could also be questioned by them. In other words, fair to both sides. Well, I told Mr. Steele, I never heard you tell him, do not tell the jury. What I told you was that I explained, I didn't hear her say that. I heard she didn't seem to like that topic, but I can't say that I heard you instruct him. But my client insists that that's what he heard. So that's I know it's not a black and white answer, but that's the gray answer where my client has been very consistent saying this is what he heard, but that's not what I heard. So I'm not.
So that's where the miscommunication is. Antonio is the one saying that she said that. He doesn't remember hearing that.
We just got an email, Your Honor, which has Brady material in it, which is sent to us.
I haven't seen it. It didn't
10 seconds ago. Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't have it yet.
Wait. There was more Brady not given over.
But certainly, number 3 is absolutely Brady, and it also obviously conflicts with what they kept as his factual acknowledgement. So it's clear, A, that Mr. Wright was telling them that's not true, but it's still maintained. They still kept it as a factual acknowledgement.
Okay, well, this isn't actually saying that's not true. Well, it's saying the real issue was, which he actually denied on the stand. But
the factual acknowledgement says, while associated with YSL, to support and express loyalty to YSL, and then it says, and wherein on behalf of YSL, defendant threatened, and it all goes to intent and state of mind, and that's the important part of this case. No one's denying that the video was made, but what is the reason behind it? And from this email, Mr. Wright is clearly telling the state in an email on December 27th, the video may have seemed like an issue was gang related, but it was actually about a girl that Sledge was dating, and Kel started kicking it with her. That was the real issue behind that. Not denying the video, but the real issue was the girl. That is Brady. That was never shared with us.
Okay, I'm not sure that that's Brady.
Judge doesn't think it's Brady. Why didn't the state just give this over anyway?
I understand you to be saying that you think this is a denial of it being something done to support, and I don't know what the language was, support and whatever, the gang.
That's the crux of the case.
Yeah, no, I know. And a whole lot of this, y'all are going to have to ultimately argue to the jury your various sides. But for this to say, it seems the video may have seemed like the issue was gang related. The real issue was the girl that a member of a rival gang was then sleeping with, that was one of the alleged gang members' girlfriends. Might make that the real issue, but it doesn't necessarily make it in no way in support of the gang. And I mean, y'all can certainly argue that, but I don't think this is the kind of thing that is like, plus this wasn't the ultimate version. So I don't know what went back and forth after that. He ultimately signed with his attorneys.
I think we've done a good job doing that, but we did all that without the knowledge of this email, which should have been provided to us by the state.
A significant portion of the state's questioning and then a redirect of Mr. Sledge focused around whether or not there were specific things that he had asked that they change. And so what we end up having here, what we know now from the email that we didn't have before, is that, again, going back to number 3, number 3 has, in its final form, talks about being associated with YSL, and, we talk about the video and where he's brandishing a weapon using a drive-by shooting to harm a person named Kel, a rival gang member. But the state knew, certainly when they were redirecting Mr. Sledge a little while ago, Mr. Sledge, through his attorney, had given them the information, had specifically denied that number 3 was accurate.
Y'all are saying had specifically denied, and I don't read it that clearly. I don't think that's a specific denial. That's more of like I'm clarifying that this is really more about the girl than anything else, which it frankly is. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I don't read it that way.
Correcting these very specific factual allegations, send them to the state, and the state, well, because it doesn't appear in the factual acknowledgments, the state ignored it or they refused to make it.
Okay, so I'm not sure what y'all are looking at, because the version of number 4, factual acknowledgement number 4, that Mr. Wright is speaking to in this email that he sent on December 27, 2022 at 8:43 p.m., defendant had personal knowledge that YSL associates were planning to murder Donovan Thomas Jr. Mr. Wright's response to that is essentially, Mr. Sledge does not think the shooting of Peanut was planned, but more impromptu or at least very short or little planning. So that clearly got changed because our final version doesn't say they were planning to. Yes.
So I cross-examined Mr. Sledge, and the state's theory is that there was a, quote, gang war starting in approximately the fall of 2014.
Right.
That escalated with the fight on January 6, 2015 of Mr. Copeland at the Club Crucial. And then it culminated and then went on steroids thereafter, after January 10th. I would have used number 4 that you just read, Your Honor, to show that there was no animosity between Mr. Sledge, who's a supposed YSL member, and Mr. Donovan Thomas, who's a supposed leader of a, quote, rival gang. The reason I say this is because I knew about it. So listen, I want to make it clear. I knew about it because I spoke with Mr. Sledge through his lawyer. So I actually asked these questions.
Right.
I didn't know about this email. But
so
the email...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But no, don't apologize. But the email is Brady, because what the state was saying is these two divisions. I didn't put Mr. Sledge on YSL, and that there is a total collapse between human beings. And that to me, I learned Brady to be anything that is potentially exculpatory or impeachment or mitigation. And the court has heard now, Mr. Copeland said I lied about everything. That to me is Brady because it shows that there is
belief about the Brady is not the part that I was talking about, but more the part that says he here is Mr. Sledge, at least at the beginning. He said he did not know because he was cool with Peanut, who was seeing his cousin and would even be at family reunions together. Does the he change there? And is the he become somebody else was cool? Who is the he that was cool with Peanut? Do we even know? We don't.
I believe that is Mr. Sledge.
Okay. And so you think it's Brady material that Mr. Sledge was cool with Peanut?
Right, because Mr. Sledge is he's been identified before you came on the bench on this case, as from multiple, 2, definitely maybe 3, supposed gang experts saying Mr. Sledge was part of this gang.
Yeah.
So to me, and it just fits into the whole, I thank you for allowing us to get these emails, but these emails there's a special duty here. This is not the special duty, I don't believe.
Okay, so
I'd like to see all the email from Mr.
I think she's looking and sending all that she has. Is that correct, Ms. Love?
2 things. Yes, and when the court permits me an opportunity to respond to all of this, I would appreciate that.
I don't understand the judge's mindset here. It's almost like she's covering for the state. It's an email they never got. It's Brady, straight up.
There's a Brady duty, and then there's a Brady violation. There's no violation because I knew about it, and it came out of court. But there's still the duty.
Okay, yeah. Brady, I mean, we all know what Brady material is, I hope. And if something is equally available and as easily gotten by one side as the other, that sort of takes it out of the realm of Brady.
I don't agree with that, respectfully, because what if I didn't do my job? It's an ineffective claim,
well,
and the state had the duty.
Well, I don't.
You can't shun your duty and say, well, he has the Honorable Keith Adams, so he'll figure it out on his own. That's not. In fact, courts have, this court, I believe, but other courts in this courthouse say, is there any Brady evidence known? Is there any evidence suppressible known by the state? And they give it to you where they're supposed to. So I don't agree that.
Acknowledging certain things were done on behalf of YSL to further YSL. I don't have equal access to Miss Love's emails with Attorney Wright that she has. So clearly, email correspondence between Mr. Wright and Miss Love, which was never handed over until a few minutes ago, it contradicts and it impeaches those factual acknowledgments that Antonio Sledge signed. I don't think it's unreasonable that a defense attorney would read the factual acknowledgments signed by a cooperating witness and accept that is going to be their stance when they come and testify.
Well, lucky for y'all, it wasn't his stance.
But I don't think that makes us getting it this last minute any less problematic.
Well, I'll just say, if the state has an open file, none of these arguments ever even come up. Now, I know that is something that y'all in your office can make a decision about, but
they're not going to do an open file because I guarantee they're hiding shit still right now.
Anything else that Mr. Wright sent to me is being printed out, and we have them all printed out. I'm going to send them over and disseminate to you.
Do I understand that to mean that there are more coming?
It sounds like it. Should I just send the jury home for the day?
More are coming?
I should have really had this before I cross-examined Mr. Sledge. Should have had it before trial. And Brady, the way I understand, is an ongoing obligation that triggers immediately.
Well, okay. Again, I don't read it the same way that y'all apparently do. And I can't imagine that you would have wanted to use this particular exhibit, because if you use part of it, the rest of it could have come in, at least with regard to what's in each particular number. And the entirety of what's in number 4, I do not think would be beneficial to the defense side of the case.
Request is for the other defendants who have pled out. If there are similar email communications between the state and that attorney where they were going back and forth on their acknowledgments, so instead of waiting till the last minute or maybe not getting it at all, but we have that email communications as well.
How do you feel about that, Ms. Love?
Judge,
why don't you take a really careful look at any of those that might exist, and if there needs to be an in-camera inspection, there can be an in-camera inspection. If you want to just share it, you can just share it. But go ahead and find whatever might exist and take a careful look at those and then give us an update. Thank you.
Defense lawyers just begging for all emails from everyone else that took pleas because they're like, is there any other emails we need to know about? What a shit show. That's pretty much it for day 125. The state's doing its usual corrupt tactics. Just even if they don't think it's, something important, they should probably hand it over. Hit subscribe, join the channel membership. Love you guys. Peace out.